So you've seen James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and whether you loved it or you hated it, we all had the same question burning in our hearts after the credits rolled, and that question is, who would win in a knockdown, drag-out fight between the two Suicide Squad teams of the DC Extended Universe? Oh, I'm the only one who thought that. Okay, well, let's talk about it anyway since you're here. In this video, I will pit the two main teams of the 2016 film against the 2021 film. And since the only thing differentiating the two is the word "the," I will refer to the 2016 team as the Squad and the 2021 team as the Suicide Squad. Additionally, I will only be including the primary members of each team and not the members who died shortly after the beginning of their respective missions. The Squad will consist of Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Killer Croc, El Diablo, Captain Boomerang, Katana, and Flagg. The Suicide Squad will be Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Ratcatcher 2, Polka Dot Man, King Shark, and Flagg. The easiest way to do this is to go over what each character from the two teams is capable of, and then decide who might win based on a wide variety of factors and scenarios. However, before we begin, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Keeps. 2/3 of men will experience some form of male pattern baldness before they are 35. If you notice that you are getting some bald spots and you want to prevent yourself from looking like the Thinker by the time you're 40, it might be time to look into preventing hair loss. Face it, boys, you can have hair like Weasel, or you can have hair like Peacemaker. Keeps is a subscription service that partners men with doctors to help treat male pattern baldness. With Keeps, a real licensed doctor will review your specific hair loss scenario online and recommend the right treatment plan for you. Then, your treatment is shipped directly to your door every 3 months. With hair loss, prevention is the key, and Keeps can take 4 to 6 months to start seeing results, so it's time to act now. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/keyissues or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. That's keeps.com/keyissues. Now let's discuss the members of each team. Harley Quinn, former psychiatrist turned criminal, is a mainstay of both teams. In her first appearance, she is able to take out fully armed guards at Belle Reve. She smashes the eyes of the adversary soldiers, which we will refer to as EAs in the future, and she is an extremely gifted hand-to-hand combatant, able to battle in crowds or in small spaces, using her elite acrobatic abilities to her advantage. Armed with her goodnight baseball bat and a 6-cylinder revolver, she should not be taken lightly. Deadshot, the most wanted hitman in the world. He is a lethal assassin proficient with any and every firearm on the planet. Famous for never missing a shot, he is lethal from 4 kilometers. Armed with his wrist-mounted firearms, an enhanced eye-patch scope, a Salient Arms International Tier 1 AR-15, and various other firearms hidden on his person at all times, Deadshot was essential in leading the Squad through the horde of Enchantress's troops. Killer Croc, a metahuman who in his file is stated to be over 7 feet tall and weighing 360 pounds, but this seems to be Waller over-exaggerating a bit. Waylon Jones is actually 6'2" and is afflicted with a rare skin disease that granted him superhuman strength and durability, along with the monstrous look he is famous for. With his bare hands, he can easily take out multiple Belle Reve guards as well as EAs. Captain Boomerang, an infamous Australian thief, he is best known for his uncanny skill with boomerangs. His arsenal includes boomerangs that explode, and even some that are fitted with cameras that can be piloted remotely for recon purposes. However, his standard boomerangs aren't to be taken lightly. With them, he can cut clean through bone, at one point slicing the top of a soldier's head off with one toss. Katana.
This is Katana. She's got my back. She can cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
Wow, thank you so much, Rick Flagg. That exposition pretty much explains everything you need to know about this version of Katana, but there's, a little bit more information that I'd like to go over that isn't as obvious. As with the rest of the team, she's able to slice up EAs very easily, and she's able to slice through Incubus's arm. Incubus should be relative to his sister, who he was able to return to power by granting her some of his own. After being amped by her brother, she is able to destroy entire city blocks with her magic, so Katana's sword should be respected. Rick Flagg, Amanda Waller's eyes and ears on the ground. He is a soldier with years of experience and is considered the finest special forces officer that the US has ever produced. While he's not Deadshot, he is stated to be able to use any weapon in the United States' armory and is an expert in special ops and counterinsurgency. El Diablo, the true powerhouse of the team, can completely turn standard humans to ash with his flames. According to the Federation of British Cremation Authorities, it takes 300 kilowatt hours of energy to completely ash a human body. Converting that to joules, you get 1 gigajoule, and converting that, you get 0.24 tons of TNT, which makes him quote-unquote small building level in his base form if you're talking about power scaling. But after transforming into his flaming avatar, he becomes even more powerful, able to fight Incubus on equal footing. However, his stamina in this form is very low, and after a while he will have to revert back to his human form. So now let's talk about the Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn, of course, is on this team as well, and is armed with Javelin, and she's even more deadly than she was in her first mission. She's really grown in hand-to-hand combat, as well as with the use of firearms, able to clear out an entire building of elite soldiers all by herself. Bloodsport, the de facto leader of the Suicide Squad, world-class marksman, and walking armory, was incarcerated for putting Superman into the ICU with a kryptonite bullet. A weapons master who can turn any item into a deadly weapon, comes equipped with his own unique guns which can connect together to form other more powerful and versatile weapons. He also comes equipped with a deadly wrist-mounted slingshot, a grapnel line, built-in flamethrowers, and much more. He's essentially Deadshot with more versatility and better equipment. Peacemaker, willing to cross any line in the name of peace, Peacemaker is shown to be Bloodsport's equal in every way. Armed with a long barrel pistol that fires explosive rounds, a sword and an axe which can cleave through his enemies like a hot knife through butter, and a deadly blow dart which he can use to incapacitate distant enemies silently. Ratcatcher 2, equipped with a device that allows her to control rats, she can summon a horde of thousands to overwhelm and take down her enemies, or use smaller numbers for more covert operations, as she does to disable the security cameras at Jotunheim. Polka Dot Man, possibly the most underrated member of the team. Polka Dot Man was experimented on by his mother, a scientist at Star Labs, who gave her son an alien virus which builds up in his body, disfiguring him. He has to discharge his polka dots twice daily to prevent the virus from killing him. And when discharged through his gauntlets, he can fire them out in a cone in front of him, melting anything in his path. Nanaue, also known as King Shark, who may or may not be a descendant of an ancient shark god, is consumed by an endless hunger. He will eat anyone in his way to satiate himself, and he's incredibly durable. Nothing in Bloodsport's vast arsenal could harm Nanaue, and even Starro, who could decimate entire buildings casually, couldn't keep King Shark down. He is also able to tear apart Starro's flesh, which Bloodsport could do nothing with his most powerful weapon. Not to mention, he can completely tear a human body asunder with little to no effort. Finally, we have Rick Flagg once again. Rick Flagg in this film is essentially the same as we see in the original. He's extremely skilled and, along with Peacemaker and Bloodsport, has mastered a one-shot kill technique, otherwise known as the Touch of Death, that he can implement in close quarters combat to incapacitate anyone who is not familiar with it. So now that we've discussed the members of each team, who wins in a fight? Well, honestly, I think it's pretty close, and I can see it going a couple of different ways depending on what happens. Despite having the numbers disadvantage, the Suicide Squad makes up for it in sheer firepower. Peacemaker and Bloodsport are essentially two Deadshots with more versatility. While Deadshot may be the greatest marksman in the world, Peacemaker and Bloodsport are close behind him, and the difference seems negligible to me. Polka Dot Man has the ability to take out the entire team with one attack, and Ratcatcher 2 could easily overwhelm the squad with thousands of rats. But the squad isn't helpless against the might of the Suicide Squad, as El Diablo is their trump card, which they will need to contend with the other team. So, in my opinion, the fight begins with King Shark charging in wildly, and while this happens, the squad fires upon the demigod, and despite their best efforts, he continues to charge, even through the flames of El Diablo. Feeling himself a bit, Killer Croc may try to jump in and stop King Shark himself, but he's no match for Nanawe, and the shark eviscerates the Croc. So at this point, the remaining Suicide Squad members go on the offensive, while the squad struggles to figure out what to do with King Shark. Peacemaker, Flagg, Bloodsport, and Polka Dot Man go after the other members with deadly proficiency and maybe take out one or two members of the squad, while Ratcatcher begins summoning an army of rats to swarm their enemies, and, there's still Harley Quinn to worry about. At this point, the typically passive El Diablo would have no choice but to retaliate while his friends battle for their lives, scorching what seems to be a never-ending army of rats. Seeing that things aren't going their way, El Diablo would have to transform into his flaming avatar to contend with King Shark. However, the overwhelming firepower of the Suicide Squad would keep him distracted. Their only shot would be for El Diablo to nuke the battlefield, and all that would do would leave himself and possibly King Shark alive. So I doubt that he would do that, especially not to his own team. But in this form, he should be able to compete with anyone on the Suicide Squad by himself. The only issue being the collateral damage that he would cause and want to avoid at all costs. So in this instance, the formidable might of the Suicide Squad and the number advantage that Ratcatcher's rodents would give would be too much for the squad to handle, and they'd eventually be taken out while distracted by 3 elite soldiers, thousands of rats, a demigod, an alien virus spitting Polka Dot Man, and Harley Quinn. One way I could see the squad winning is if King Shark is taken out immediately. Of course, Harley, Flagg, Deadshot, Boomerang, El Diablo in his base form, and Killer Croc couldn't take the beast down. They have zero chance of doing so, but Katana could. If Katana was somehow able to get to King Shark first and kill him with her Soul Stealer's sword, the Suicide Squad would be distressed and dumbfounded by this turn of events, opening up a chance for the squad to go on the offensive. From here, the biggest threat on the battlefield is Ratcatcher, so taking her out first would be priority number 1, but I doubt that they would go for her first. After all, Peacemaker and Bloodsport look much more intimidating, and they will come out blasting. Flagg and Deadshot likely know of the duo and would be caught in an epic firefight against them, giving Polka Dot Man and Ratcatcher the opportunity to make a move, while Flagg and Harley provide cover fire against Boomerang, Croc, and the other Harley. From this spot, El Diablo will need to transform to prevent himself from being killed by one of the remaining members of the Suicide Squad, so if he does take on his avatar form with King Shark down, he should be able to wipe the rest of the Suicide Squad off the battlefield. But he'd have to do it before he is forced to revert back into his human form, where he will be vulnerable. In all likelihood, the Suicide Squad defeats the squad more times than not, but there are strategies that the squad can employ to come out victorious, although it's a very, very tall task to ask of them, as the majority of their team are just normal humans. Well-trained elite humans, but humans nonetheless. So I think it's very, very important that they get rid of King Shark as soon as possible, because if they don't, King Shark will absolutely run through the entire team single-handedly, not to mention all the firepower he has backing him up, with characters that are able to one-shot, everyone else on the squad. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments who you think will win the fight. Like I said, I think it's pretty close, and there are circumstances where either team could win. I just think the Suicide Squad team has way more firepower and versatility than the squad. Be sure to like and subscribe. It does really, really help us out. And remember the motto, it's comics over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.